This is Lee Furseth from the Headwaters Science Center. I was just turning Orion just to see if we can get him to be a little more interested in the book we're going to read today. Orion, it's not about bunnies, but it's kind of in the category of animals you like a lot. This one's about raccoons. And so Orion, it's about raccoons. Orion and I do this frequently because we read on Wednesdays. I don't always read to Orion, but he frequently is the recipient of the good book that was chosen. Today is called Muddy, the Raccoon Who Stole Dishes. And I'm going to read that one to you. But I wanted to tell you about how I picked this book and then how I picked the second book. I went to the library. I was looking for something that maybe all of you would be interested in, and in particular, maybe an animal that isn't quite as common. We don't have raccoons here at the Science Center, except we have some pelts and some skulls, and I'll show those to you in just a little bit as examples of stuff we have here at the Science Center. But we do have lots of information that you could come and find out about mammals in particular, but come and ask us about raccoons as well. As soon as I found this book, a fictional book about raccoons, I went across to the other side of the library and I went looking for non-fictional books, and I found two. There is this one. This is our second book for today. And then I found this one, and this one I'm not going to read to you today, but I will get them back to the library as quickly as possible. Why didn't I choose this one instead of this one? Why did I choose this one? Just choosing it because it's that much shorter and we can fit it into about 30 minutes about talking about raccoons. This one goes back to the library, even though it'd be really helpful to read some additional information about raccoons. We're going to get enough out of this one. Let's start with the other one, and this one is called Muddy, the Raccoon Who Stole Dishes. All right, Orion, here we go. About raccoons today. Out of the city where the highway ends and the road turns to gravel and the gravel turns to dirt and the grass begins to grow by Mud River lived a raccoon. Like all raccoons, he knew how to take care of himself. He ate at night, slept at the top of a tree all day. His name was Muddy Whiskers, and he still lived with his parents. We're going to come back to that. He lived with his parents in a few minutes when we get to the other book. Muddy was ordinary. Remember, his name is Muddy Whiskers. Muddy was ordinary. He weighed 15 pounds, was 10 inches tall, and could open most garbage lids in under a minute. 15 pounds is mentioned in the other book too, so we'll watch for that one. But he couldn't stand ordinary raccoon food. He refused to eat frogs, slugs, acorns, turtle eggs, crayfish, and clams. He only wanted to eat garbage, any leftover food he could find, and he liked to eat it on plates. Our son's a picky eater, his parents would say. His parents, Mr. and Mrs. Whiskers, were hard-working raccoons. Every night they stood on the shore of Mud River with other raccoons digging for clams. They dunked each clam in the water 17 times, as raccoons do, and after eating, they washed the shells and left them in big piles on the riverbank. These are very interesting illustrations. I'm just going to hold it there to the camera and let you take a close look. This particular author decided to write in the outlines of all the animals, all the raccoons, and then he put in the colors afterwards. Maybe he used pen, maybe even used pencil, but he first drew the raccoons, just pencil and paper, colored them in afterwards. This goes to show. Then they stood and gazed at a fancy new restaurant across the river. All the Mud River raccoons used to live in the city. All of them were banished because they'd eaten too much garbage. Nice word, banished. Kicked out. They were kicked out of the city. They were removed because they had eaten too much garbage. None of them wanted to get in trouble again, so every raccoon promised not to cross Mud River to steal people's leftovers. Muddy was the only raccoon who couldn't make that promise. Why shouldn't we eat delicious leftovers if they leave them in big bins for us to find? He asked his parents. So he stayed in his tree and kept thinking about garbage. Each evening his father stood at the bottom of the tree and called to Muddy. Why don't you come down here and help us wash these clams? I'm busy, Muddy called down. But Muddy was out only busy waiting for the restaurant to open. The open sign flashed on. Muddy hurried across the river to La Grande Bistro, stole a plate from the patio, then dug through the garbage bins, piled on whatever he could find. He'd eat, then dunk the plate 17 times and add it to the big pile on the riverbank. I just want you to point out the order in that particular sentence. So here it comes again. He'd eat, then dunk the plate 17 times and add it to the big pile on the riverbank. Muddy's parents were worried, knowing Muddy was somewhere eating garbage. He'll cause trouble, Muddy's father muttered. Sure enough, one night, Muddy did. Muddy left his tree, ready to eat soggy pizza, dry corn cobs, and sticky marshmallows. Again, we'll take a look at that other book. See, would those three things actually be eaten by a raccoon? But when he got across the river, Muddy noticed the door to the restaurant kitchen was open. He looked inside and saw a big plate full of golden French fries. Muddy climbed up onto the counter, took a French fry, and dipped it 17 times in a glass of water, and ate it as fast as he could. This is easier than looking for leftovers, he thought. Suddenly, he heard footsteps. He grabbed the plate, floated it on the water, nudging it across with his nose. As Muddy climbed out of the water, he bumped into his parents. Not literally in this particular case, bumping into his parents. His father's eyes widened. Where did you get that plate? From the restaurant across the river, Muddy said, dropping the plate and spilling the fries. His father's short, hairy arms poked the air. We'll talk about those arms in just a little bit too. We'll get to that other book. His father's short, hairy arms poked the air, and his paws frantically pulled his ears. Raccoons don't steal plates, he cried. What were you thinking? Calm down, Muddy's mother said. You'll attract the other raccoons. His father stroked his ears till he calmed down. But by now, a crowd of raccoons had gathered. I thought we agreed not to steal leftovers, an old raccoon said. Now your son's stealing plates. Our son's a picky eater, said Mrs. Whiskers, wringing her paws. That's no excuse, insisted the old raccoon. He'll get us all in trouble. The wise old raccoon had been chased out of more garbage bins than anyone else. His nose was scratched and the tip of his tail was missing. This must be the old one right there because it's looking like the tail is missing. And yeah, we got a cane illustrating his age. How many plates have you stolen, Muddy? He asked. A lot. Muddy showed his parents and all the other raccoons the gleaming plates stacked in piles down shore. Camera there. That's the number of plates he's stolen. Amazed, the old raccoon said, Well, we'll have to wash the plates again and return them to the restaurant. Good idea, agreed Muddy's parents, and Muddy will promise not to steal leftovers again. The raccoons formed a line across the shore, each dipping a plate 17 times. They washed and scrubbed the plates with their sensitive fingers until they sparkled. Not the fingers in this case, that would be the plates that were sparkling. Then the old raccoon said, Lead the way to the restaurant, Muddy. And Muddy and all the others waded across the river, all of them holding plates above their heads. Well, they reached Le Grand Bistro. When they reached Le Grand Bistro, Muddy hurried to the head waiter and held up the plate. I stole your plates, he said in raccoon language. We washed them so you don't have to wash them again. His mother nudged him forward. And I stand here before you, I promise. with all my heart to stop eating your leftovers. But by then, every person in the restaurant had left. Muddy stood up and eyed all the plates. Well, it seems a waste not to eat all this food, he said. I agree with Ren. Earlier we were talking. The book seems to end early. Like, wait a minute, more to be said here in this book. And all of a sudden, it's done. Even though he promised. Wait, it would be a waste not to eat that food. I'm going to read you Backyard, Jungle, Safari, Raccoons. On the nonfiction side of the library when you get there. Hey, quick, grab a flashlight, Zoe calls to her friend Ethan as they head outside on their backyard safari. They are in search of Procyon lotier, better known as the raccoon. This common backyard visitor is nocturnal. We've arrived at our first fact that agrees with that book. Muddy was only going out at night, so he's nocturnal.
I've been doing some reading while you were reading the last book. We were discussing how to pronounce the genus name.
Yeah.
And it seems like it is Greek, and the standard pronunciation is Procyon.
Procyon.
Which is how I would do that, like if I was just reading it, but so there's a phonetic spelling in there that doesn't seem to agree with that. So maybe there's some dispute as to how to pronounce that.
Yeah, there is. We're talking about the scientific name right there. So that particular site was suggesting that the C is a S sound.
Yeah.
Procyon lotier, better known as the raccoon. This common backyard visitor is nocturnal. That means he is most active at night. Raccoons have excellent vision at night. Their first stop is the garbage can. There being these two ones that are going out on the safari, the two kids. At the end of the driveway. Zoe knows that getting into trash is one of this animal's biggest talents. If a raccoon smells something good inside the can, the lid will be no match for the crafty critter. You'll remember in the Muddy book it says it takes less than a minute to get into any kind of garbage can. The raccoon's hand-like paws make easy work of opening lids, latches, and other devices. Raccoons are intelligent animals with excellent memories. Ethan shares, the word raccoon comes from the Native American word raccoon. That is what the Powhatan tribes called the raccoon. It means he scratches with his hand. When people leave food out for raccoons, the animals are known to scratch at the door to ask for seconds. They can be so sneaky that they will even use a dog door to come inside and steal more food. There you go. Oh no, we're too late, Zoe declares. Clearly something got into the trash. See those tiny footprints in the snow? After I got this book yesterday, I was paying attention to the tracks that go up to my compost pile at home. Just trying to figure out, do I have any raccoons coming to my compost pile? They are just the right size and shape to be left by a raccoon. Longer back feet and shorter front feet, each with 5 long toes. Remember the short arms of the father? It made point when the father was scolding, disciplining his son. He had short arms, short hairy arms, they said.
Another good thing to note with tracks is that you can see the claws on them. That's very indicative of things in the canid family, like raccoons are.
Very good. Let's follow the tracks to see if they lead us to the furry thief. There's another one. They're calling him a thief, and of course that's exactly what was happening in the Muddy book. Muddy Whiskers was a thief. It's fitting that raccoons are thieves. These clever bandits even look the part. When you first see a raccoon, you may think he is wearing a disguise. The black mask that surrounds the animal's eyes is just dark fur, though, Zoe explains. A surprising number of raccoons live in cities. Time to stop. We do have a pelt here of a raccoon, so I'll just hold that up in front. We'll start with that face, see if you can see, you know, the black that's right there. How are we doing, Ryan? Are we?
I want to just point out kind of where the eyes are there, so we can. And it doesn't have eyes anymore.
Particular, right there,
yeah.
right.
Right at the end of it, there is the black stripe they're talking about.
And then, as it was noted in the book, the old raccoon in particular had lost a ring or two off the end of his tail, so there's the ringtail. Yeah, so there's a pelt we have. You can come on in and take a look at that one. Just ask Brian or anybody else, can I have a look at that raccoon pelt? When they aren't fishing through trash, raccoons can be found in a wooded area near water. They live in every state in the United States, mainland, as well as in Mexico. Many raccoons make their homes in hollow trees. In fact, some raccoons are even born 20 to 40 feet, that's 6 to 12 meters, above the ground in these homes. Raccoons can sleep for weeks in a hollow tree during the winter. Brian, I hate to tell you, I've already forgotten that word. It's not hibernating when it's only 6 to 12 weeks. It's, do you remember that word? What's that? Ruminating.
Ruminating.
Which is what a raccoon could be doing about now in Minnesota. It looks like this raccoon traveled through the backyard and down over the hill towards the stream, Ethan pointed out. Many raccoons like to rinse their food in water before eating. It may seem like they're washing the food when they do this, but actually they're softening the food to make it easier to chew. A raccoon's best sense is its touch. This sense works even better underwater. It's interesting because they talked about their eyesight earlier, especially their eyesight at night. Aha! Zoe shouts. She and Ethan had located their burglar at the edge of the stream. The brownish-gray fur, along with the pointed ears and snout, all fit the raccoon's description. However, it is his bushy ringed tail that confirms it. So we'll take a look at the tail. Right back to what we were looking at earlier, that ringed tail. Raccoons have 5 to 8 light and dark rings around their tail. Should we count? 5 to 8. There we go. Call that 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We'd have 5. And they're there. 5 rings on its tail. Garden owners may even surrender to their hungry night friends by leaving them samples in a dish for dinner. The raccoon is even holding proof that he is indeed the thief they are seeking. They're talking about that picture right there. He's holding the proof. Zoe points, it is the skin from the baked potato I ate for dinner last night. If it were summertime, the raccoon might have raided the family's garden instead. This species is especially fond of sweet corn. Once the raccoon has eaten the last potato skin, he dashes over to the rotting tree stump. This is where he will find tonight's dessert. Termites. Yuck, Zoe and Ethan shout together. Raccoons will eat almost anything. Thus, they are omnivores. Among their favorite foods are fruit, berries, insects, grubs, and small rodents. Would they eat a rabbit?
I wouldn't say no to it.
Probably would not. Probably wouldn't attack a rabbit of this size, nor would they be interested in the chase. But
probably wouldn't actively hunt a rabbit, but if there's a rabbit in front of them, they're probably not eating it.
Okay, there you are. No reason to fear, though. All right. What a raccoon eats depends largely on what grows and lives nearby, often what is close to the raccoon. Raccoons are excellent swimmers. Their skills help them reach food that other land animals cannot, such as fish, frogs, and even clams. Lots of clams in the last story. Raccoons are omnivores. There it is. This means they eat both plants and animals. Few animals hunt raccoons, however. When a coyote or fox comes near, most raccoons simply run up the nearest tree. Raccoons can run up to 15 miles per hour and are good swimmers. A mother raccoon will attack a predator that gets too close to her kits or babies. So we now know that baby raccoons are called kits. Raccoons mate between January and March. A litter of 4 to 6 kits arrives about 8 weeks later. The babies stay with their mother until they are 9 to 12 weeks old. Most will live about 2 to 3 years. You note that maybe they were wrong in the book because they talk about Muddy being up in the tree and living with his mother and father. There is a suggestion here there will be no father in the little in the tree or in the home of the raccoons. Raccoons in zoos often live up to 20 years old.
It's interesting that they call the babies kits, because they call the like adult male and female raccoons, they use like pig for their boars and sows.
Are they?
But the babies are like the fox kit.
Yeah.
They're mixing their nomenclatures there.
Yeah. What other animal were we studying where the babies were called kits? I'm gonna have to think on that one a little bit. Rabbits? You guys called rabbits called kits? I don't remember.
Foxes are. But...
Yeah. Adult raccoons grow to be between 24 and 38 inches. That one referred, in the other book, it referred to them being 10 inches tall. They're talking about it in length here. And 14 to 23 pounds. Well, remember from the other book, they had Muddy at 15 pounds. Male raccoons are slightly bigger than females, but make a variety of noises, including growls, hisses, and screams. A group of raccoons is called a nursery. We now got the term for a group of them. I'd like you to take a close look at those teeth. And you know, the interesting thing about their teeth is, boy, they're all there. Right? Incisors, canines, and even molars. So here we have a skull of a raccoon. Brian brought this up.
Yeah. Someone's mouth doesn't open.
It doesn't open up, but we're going to take a close look at the size. Well, take a close look right there at the front because we have some incisors, right? Just like we have incisors. Good for biting off something, a carrot maybe. We have canines on the side and then molars in the back. So they can do the chewing in the back, making them great omnivores. Both books have said, is there anything they can't eat? A group of raccoons is called a nursery. I thought that was interesting. Why is the male raccoons do not help raise the kits? So there we have it. There was little chance that even though the father had a large role in the Muddy Whiskers story, in actuality that would not have occurred in the wild or in a real story. Why is the raccoon whistling? Ethan asked. Just then Zoe realized that the raccoon isn't a male after all. The raccoon is the mother. She's calling her kits to dinner. Here they come. 1, 2, 3. Now where is she going? Zoe wonders. It seems kit number 4 has fallen into the stream. Mom darts back into the water and carries him out by the scruff of his neck. Just like a mother cat might hold a kitten. Hopefully his siblings have saved him some termites. Ethan smiles. That's it. This is a nonfiction book, so we do have an index right at the very end, but that one does it for today. Like I say, these are all going back to the library. We're talking about raccoons today. Orion, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it as well. We are here at the Science Center Monday through Saturday, 9:30 to 5 o'clock. Sundays we do it from 1 to 5. If you're wondering about our shows, they're not quite as consistent as they've been for about a year. We've been doing these shows for about 18 months, and for the last year they've been Sunday through Saturday, just like clockwork, every single day, 3:30. We're now doing them Sundays, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So Sunday, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, you can still tune in and see us live. You might be able to pick us up on Tuesday and Thursday as maybe a rebroadcast or maybe some other shows that are available. We are doing this Sunday, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 3:30 live shows.